Hi, we are Dan and Michelle from Honeymoon Always. We just moved to Lisbon, Portugal from Austin, Texas. Please subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram at Honeymoon Always. Today, we are talking to you guys about traditional Portuguese food. So we just moved here about 2 months ago, and we've been spending most of our energy just getting settled and trying to feel comfortable and get acclimated. And we decided it's time for us to try real traditional Portuguese food. But we didn't really know how to go about it. And so we decided to go on a food tour with Taste of Lisboa. And they have a specific tour dedicated to talking about traditional Portuguese food and culture. So we went with our tour guide, Rosa, and a handful of other people, and went to go try traditional Portuguese food for the first time. I'm a little bit more of a picky eater. Dan is a former chef, went to culinary school, was a personal chef for a while, so he knows his way around food and really loves food. I'm a little bit more stick to the things that I love. We'll try a few things here and there, but I don't, there's some things that I don't prefer. Today, what we want to do is talk to you guys about the foods that we tried and what we thought. We're going to be ranking what we thought of the food from 1 to 10, 1 being like, bleh, and 10 being like, yes, would eat again.
All right, let's do it.
Cool.
After meeting our tour guide, Rosa, and getting with our group, we headed to Montegra Silva. Now, Montegra means butter shop, and at one point it was, but it's been around for over 125 years, and today it is both a cod shop where you can buy all the salted cod, and a gourmet like deli where you can buy cheeses, meats, wines, and things like that. Of course, we had some local breads, some local extra virgin olive oil, which, fun fact, some of the Italian extra virgin olive oil comes from Portugal when they don't have enough supply, or apparently that's what we learned. Mm-hmm. But the two things that stood out in this stop were the porco preto, which is translated as black pork, black pig. And that is basically a breed. So it's kind of like saying Angus beef. Here they have porco preto. And we had the cured version, which is similar to like Italian prosciutto.
Mm-hmm. And I think what we learned also, I don't know if this is the case for all of this type of pig, but where we were at, they're fed in a very specific way. So it's a very special experience to have this meat.
The other thing was queijo de azeitão. And Azeitão is a city. It's about 30 minutes from here. And so the cheese, this particular cheese has to come from there to be able to be called queijo de azeitão. And it is a very, very soft cheese. So it's usually served at room temperature. And you take it out of the fridge, and within a short period of time, the inside is already going to be creamy and almost like melted, while the outside is like hard enough to kind of maintain its shape. So usually you can just kind of get a spoon out of the middle. Obviously we were in a group, so we all had kind of a little slice of it. And what did you think? So
the cheese, I'm going to rate it a 6.
Okay.
It wasn't that it wasn't delicious, because it was delicious. I don't have the emotional connection to it that I have with, say, the pork.
Okay.
The pork, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I just want to share that meat is 10 out of 10. So good. I really liked it. It actually really surprised me. Prosciutto sometimes can be difficult to eat. Like, it gets like, I don't know, like a little stringy, and like I don't love it. But this, the taste was delicious, and it didn't have that same issue that I have sometimes eating prosciutto. So we have already introduced the meat into our menu because we liked it so much. What is your rating for the meat?
Well, I give the meat a 10 for sure.
Okay.
And as Michelle was saying, we actually have brought it home now, so we went and bought some. Having that as a grilled cheese sandwich with like some Gouda and some fig preserves.
On like really good bakery bread,
yes.
So good.
So good.
And what do you think of the cheese?
The cheese, I will give a 8.
Okay. He's a little bit higher. And here's the thing. If you put it in front of me on like a beautiful cheese board, I'm going to eat it because it was delicious. I'm just it's not going to be introduced into my life on a regular basis, I feel like. So that's how I felt. It's delicious. You should try it, but it's not my end all be all cheese.
Yeah. And also when you go into any major grocery store or some of these markets, you'll see the pork hanging as a leg. So we've seen it around a ton, and now it's time for us to eat it, and it was great. Right next door was all the salted cod. And while we didn't try it there, we did see all bunch of different versions of it. So you have like the salted cod fillets, which are like triangle shaped,
And you see these everywhere. They're stacked in every grocery store, not in a refrigerated area because they are shelf stable and so they last for a long time. And that was an interesting shock when we got here, just to see stacks and stacks of cod.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on? And we also saw like the tongues.
Yeah.
And then most people, so traditionally you would buy the salted cod and then you would put it in water to rehydrate it and then change the water out 3 times a day and do that for a couple days until it was rehydrated, and then you'd cook it kind of like you would a regular cod fillet. But people don't have time for that anymore. So maybe on like a special occasion you might do that, or like our tour guide said, her grandmother always does that. But to help you with that process, you can also just buy it rehydrated but frozen. So they do the changing out the water to rehydrate the salted cod, freeze it. They had a freezer there for it, and you can just pick that up. And that way you could, as soon as it thaws, you could have it for dinner.
I am not a seafood fan, so I was a little nervous that we were just gonna like have at that stacks and stacks of cod.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We made our way to the next stop, which was...
It was called Oaxaca Snack, which means like hole, so kind of like the U.S. hole in the wall. It was just like a really small place. So there we had the cod for the first time, and we had it as a croquette, which is like a fried, like football-shaped kind of thing. And they take potatoes, and they take the cod, seasonings, probably some egg, and they fry it. And it was pretty good. I was surprised by how mild it was.
Okay, rating 1 to 10. What did you think of that?
I would give it a 7 because it was mild. It wasn't like anything to blow your mind, but if I had the option to buy one again, like as a snack, I would.
Okay, great. Luckily they accommodated my weird food things, and I got the same croquette, but it had pork in it, and it was delicious. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. So for a little fried snack, it's pretty good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They also tried Vinho Verde there, which is something we'd heard about a ton before we came. It is translated as green wine, which I think throws people off because it's not green. Verde is the region that it comes from. So just in the same way like you call champagne because it comes from that specific area in France, Vinho Verde is just a type of, I think, white wine, but it comes from Verde.
Okay, so the next stop was an amazing stop. Okay, so the place has a lot of history that we stopped at.
Yes, it was called Zé do Cornos, which means like Zé is like a short way to say Jose, the name, and then Cornos, I think the word is horns, and that has something to do with the nickname that the owner's father had, because
he was dipping it and doing it around the town.
Yeah, he was a womanizer. So he got caught and got that nickname, and there's actually a picture of him with the horns above his head, which has something to do with that situation.
Interesting thing to like recognize about a member of your family in a family restaurant.
Yeah.
That's a bold move. And this did appear to be a bold family because we came during kind of the break, so they were actually technically closed, but because we were with a tour, we were there. And so they were having their family meal. They were also having their family dispute, yes. Which we loved. I was trying to record the tour guide to kind of make sure I could understand everything and get a real appreciation for the food that we had there. And there was yelling. There was kind of like the stomping of the hands. Like it was incredible. Like a real, like what I would imagine like an old Italian restaurant to be like a family Italian restaurant, but it was an old Portuguese restaurant. And then a little bit later, the son was like cleaning some wine bottles up in the top shelf or whatever, and a bunch of them came crashing down, and they had to clean them all up. So, and it was a lively day at the family restaurant.
Definitely. And the funny thing was they were closed, and it was still lively. Probably the most lively, I guess.
Yeah.
But that place is very popular and known for their ribs. So we didn't try them. We tried a few other things. We tried a melon that you can get here called, it's called white melon.
But it's very similar to like a cantaloupe looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't like melon, and I honestly would give this a 10. I love this.
Yeah, it was good. In fact, we bought some since, and we'll probably have it today. But it was, just really sweet and flavorful.
Yeah, it was a really good, refreshing fruit.
Yeah.
And then we tried a couple of cheeses. I think there were 3 cheeses. One had like a paprika around the side of it, and one was very smelly. Forgettable for me.
Yeah. So I also would give the melon a 10. I don't think I said that. And then I would give the cheeses like a 1 to 3, depending on which one it was.
Yeah, I didn't care about the cheeses.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing that we tried here is a very traditional Portuguese sandwich. It's called a bufina, and it is traditionally just a marinated pork, like slab of meat on bread. And that's it. And they were also kind enough to like give us little mustard packets. So while the ingredients themselves may have been fine, my personal rating of this would be like 3, I think. But just because I'm the type, I love veggies. I want it, I would want to put a lot of other things on it to add some variety. And so just like marinated meat on bread is not for me. What did you think?
I think a bufina sandwich is not, I don't think anyone thinks it's like some sort of culinary amazing thing. It's more.
We're gonna get a bufina expert, culinary expert in the comments who's gonna come after us for this.
Yeah, y'all let us know if someone is obsessed with bufina sandwiches.
If we missed this for some reason.
But I think it's just a snack. It's a quick, easy, somewhat flavorful snack. So I thought it was good. I mean, I would eat. It was my second time eating one, but I give it like a 6 because it's like take it or leave it.
All right.
But it's there if you want a quick meal. You can get a bufina sandwich. It's
traditional enough that McDonald's has their own version called a McBufina. So I think we'll have to try that. Not that I expect McDonald's version to be like the version that I love.
Yeah.
I just love that McDonald's has one. And it's a fun name.
Yeah. All right.
So outside of this restaurant, you can see a lot of cobblestone. This is all over Portugal. That there are beautiful cobblestone streets everywhere, and then in the cobblestones, a lot of times there is like lighter and darker cobblestones that make a design. So sometimes it'll be just a pattern, or it'll be waves, or it'll be something really beautiful. And in this area, we saw something so cool that we would never have even noticed if we hadn't been on the tour, which is that the cobblestones were designed in the shape to be the shadow of the building that they were right next to, which I thought was so cool. And again, something we wouldn't have known if we hadn't been on the tour. So that was really cool. And we spent some time talking about the origins of the city and the history of the Moors in the area. And so that was really cool, because now I will know to look to the ground to see if there's something really special or unique about what's happening there.
Yeah. And one thing to know about Portugal is that it is a colonizing nation. So there were several colonies in Africa, obviously Brazil. And we went to a restaurant that reflected this. And that was a restaurant with cuisine from Mozambique, which is off the coast of Africa. And it was called Cantinho do Aziz, which several of our viewers have recommended to us in our other videos.
They were spot on. Thank you so much for that recommendation. We did go with the tour, but we're going to go back. It was awesome.
Yeah. And we had samosas there.
Mm-hmm. There was a veggie one, and then there was I think it had chicken in it, and then we had this mango drink. It's a very like thick mango. It's almost like, it's just they've like pureed a mango and they've put it in a drink. Rankings, Dan, for this place?
I think 10 for the samosas, and then probably a 9 for the mango drink, just because I like mine a little thinner. So that's it.
Definitely a 10 for the samosas for me. Like, loved them. Took 2 home to eat later, and they were great. Even reheated, it was delicious. And then the mango drink too, I'll probably give a 9, just because it was a little thick, but it was delicious. Right near there, someone did a really cool project where they took photos of local residents, people who've lived in the area in that specific neighborhood for a long time. And they were the most adorable photos of older people kind of sitting outside of windows or standing in the doorway. And it was such a beautiful piece of history and art. It really humanized the area, and I just thought it's one of those things you only learn if you're on a food tour and someone points it out to you and tells you, gives you a little bit more context. So I really loved that.
Yeah. Also on the way to our last stop, there was quite a scene.
Oh my gosh. There was a big group of guys who are likely very inebriated, and they were having the time of their lives just singing together. That was
funny.
Yeah.
But then we made it to our last stop, which had the, of course, iconic custard tarts, the Fábrica de Pastéis de Nata, which means the Pastel de Nata factory. And so we've been to the Pastéis de Belém, which is the probably most famous place to get a Pastel de Nata. But this place was, I think, just as good.
I agree. So they were telling us about how there's basically two types of these pastel denatas. Like obviously there's many variations, but there's some that are kind of made with lard, which was the original dough ingredient, because butter is more of a French thing. And those ones kind of are a little bit more shelf stable, and they're not usually, they're cooled, and then you eat them kind of room temperature. I prefer the ones that are warm. They're made with butter. So you get them warm and then you put cinnamon and sugar on them. And so this was in the most beautiful part of Baixia to me, because there's all these beautiful shops and an iconic like Cobblestone, and it goes up, there's a beautiful square and it leads up to the water. So I think if you've seen photos of Portugal, you've seen photos of this area, and having a great dessert snack.
Yeah, this was a snack, and they let us know that pastel de nata is not a dessert.
It's just
It's
a
a
snack.
snack.
But it's a little bit sweet, so
It's sweet.
we enjoyed it having it at the end of the night. But anyway, rating for this pastel de nata.
10 out of 10.
Yep, 10 out of 10. So I think our favorites from the whole trip of eating traditional Portuguese food definitely includes the porco preto, and I think the samosas and the pastel de nata.
Yes.
You agree?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the cantaloupe, where we've definitely integrated that into our menu as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all over, everything was good. We ate everything except for, the cod for you, but that's because she doesn't like seafood. But we tried everything. Everything was good. I'm so happy to kind of have a little better introduction, because we've seen all these things.
Yeah.
We've seen the cod hanging around, and we just haven't got a chance to try it. And now we've really been able to dive in.
Yeah, we know that there are people from Portugal who watch our videos, so if there's something else that we missed or a place that we need to go that maybe has something that we should try, please let us know. You guys have been so helpful. So thank you so much again to Taste of Lisboa for having us. I hope you follow along on Instagram, subscribe to our channel, and we will talk to you later.